Good morning. My name is Julia Wickard. I work for the Indiana Beef Cattle Association, and that's where we're seated here today in our offices on the northwest side of Indianapolis. I serve the association as the Executive Vice President. Coincidentally, I also raise Angus cattle and came to this position about 4.5 years ago, having worked in the industry. Worked for Indiana Farm Bureau prior to coming here, and then actually worked for the state of Indiana in the Commissioner of Agriculture's office as the Deputy Director for the state of Indiana Agricultural Office. So agriculture has always been a part of my life. It's extremely important to me, extremely passionate about our industry and telling our story. Like I said, this industry is extremely important to me and my family. We are a 5-generation family farm. We have a 100-year Hoosier homestead, actually where I live in Hancock County. And my husband also works off the farm, but we are a family farm operation. My mom and dad are still very active in the operation. My sister and brother-in-law, obviously, and their little girl. And hopefully what I'm able to give to my little boy and girl, Jacob and Jordan, is the kind of livelihood that I had growing up, is that appreciation for the land, that appreciation for our natural resources that runs so abundant on our earth. 4-H is an extremely important program here in Indiana. I am a 10-year 4-H member. I'm also an FFA alumni, so I participated in the school system with FFA, and I'm a 10-year 4-H member, and grew up showing cattle in Hancock County. 4-H has room for everyone, whether it's planting that seed that grows the garden, whether it's putting the scrapbook together, whether it's putting a model airplane together, or showing a pig, lamb, or steer in the 4-H show. It offers something for everyone. It was the tools that it gave me the tools that I now use every day in leadership experience, in public speaking experience. It gave me opportunities to work with other people of diverse backgrounds. And so I think 4-H is an extremely important program. I wrote on my Facebook this morning that I'm going to tell the story of agriculture. And anytime I can have an opportunity to do that, I almost get giddy about it, because I think we in agriculture have assumed that the public knows who we are and what we're about. But when we're less than 1% of the population, when we've seen over 10 years the number of farms that have left this country, that have left the state, that due to consolidation and growth, that we have to have an ambassadorship, if you will, that can continue to tell that story and tell it well, and make the public understand that, if we don't keep agriculture alive and well here in this state and this country, it's going to go elsewhere. And what will that mean for future generations? I think food safety and our food supply is something that all Americans need to be cognizant of. Whether it's how you prepare your food at home, in your kitchen, or how the food is grown at the farm. Everyone has responsibility. And I think I want to start, I guess, with the farmer, because that farmer has responsibility to grow a wholesome, nutritious product for the American consumer. In turn, once that product passes from the farm into retail, into the retail market, that retailer has responsibility to make sure that that product is preserved and protected before it reaches the consumer. And then once the consumer puts it in their grocery cart and takes it to the checkout and they leave the store, it is then that consumer's responsibility to make sure they know how to prepare it. And so it's everyone's responsibility, from what I call gate to plate or farm to fork. Everyone has responsibility in that food chain movement. Well, in Indiana, we're a pretty small duck in the pond when it comes to the number of beef animals compared to other states. We rank 15th in the nation in beef production here in this state. But we do have a heavy population of beef producers scattered across the state. Actually, we have close to 20,000 beef producers in Indiana. In terms of kind of where we are in the scheme of things internationally, as we look at the opportunity to keep exports open for our producers, whether that's those growers here in Indiana or those growers in Colorado or Wyoming or Nebraska, it's so important that we keep free trade available to American agriculture, because that allows us to market our product outside of the United States, give those countries across the world, across the water, an opportunity to experience American beef, American pork, American poultry products. Actually, most of our beef, we produce enough beef in this country to export. I would have to get you the number. It's a very good question. But we export probably an additional 60% of the beef is exported in addition to what we use here in America. So we grow the product that feeds the world. In Indiana, we have a Indiana Fresh from the Farm freezer beef program. We have a website, indianafreshfromthefarm.org. If you go to that website in Indiana, and there may be other states that have a similar program, you can click on the map of Indiana, and if you know where you live, you click on that county, and it'll take you to those producers in your area of the state that grow beef and sell it and market it to the consumer directly. We call it a freezer beef program, where they take their animals to a local processing facility. You would call me and say, I need a steer, I need some beef from my freezer, and we would make the arrangements, give you the cut sheet so you could actually identify how you want your steaks cut. Do you want your hamburgers pattied? Do you want the tongue? Do you want the tail? Things that, in certain areas of the country, things would be more prevalent than others. And then you would actually go to that processor once the animal's processed, pick it up, and take it home. And you would have beef for your freezer. Our niche market, what our freezer beef program offers is, if you choose to have your beef aged, you can have it aged in your local processing plant, in that local locker plant. And so it can be aged for up to however many days you want it to be aged. You also probably have an opportunity to work directly with that producer to know if it's grass-fed, if it's corn-fed, if it's fed an organic diet, if it's fed a certain diet. You would be able to work very directly with that producer. But in Indiana, we are first in duck production. We're first in popcorn production, first in ice cream production. Every other year we will compete with being first or second in egg production. We're fifth in pork production. We're fifth in soybean and corn production. Rank third and fourth in the country in melon production, whether it's cantaloupe, muskmelon, watermelon. We're second in green beans and snap peas in northern Indiana. Because we kind of are the breadbasket of America, we can offer that plate for the American consumer, from fruits and vegetables to the protein. And I think that's the story, is, how do we make sure that we keep melon production, vegetable production, ice cream production, and animal production here in this state. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of making sure we do that for my children, for their children, and for future generations. And whether it's through family ancestral passing of farm to farm, the land, you become connected with the land, and it becomes a part of you. Although we know we are custodians of the land at this point, we are stewards of the resources that we are given today. And so I think farmers do everything within their power to not lose that land. And I think it's part of their being. It's part of what makes them an American farmer.